Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Kristen White, clinical psychologist and mom of 3, and this is the Mom Degree, where we provide support and tools to help women feel less crazy and be more effective in their role as moms. So if you're following along, we're in a series right now on shaping our kids' behavior. How do we turn them into great little people that we enjoy, we can send out into the world with pride and confidence, right? How do we do that? And we started with where we want to start with our kids, a lot of positive stuff. And now we are talking a little bit more on the discipline side. So we've talked about timeouts, we've talked about ignoring, we've talked about removing privileges and toys and things like that. We will address a little bit of this. It's been a little more focused on little kids. We will talk about it with older kids. But first, there's one we haven't mentioned that I want to spend this video on. And that one we haven't mentioned is spanking, which is a hugely controversial topic. Everybody, I'm sure, even listening, has different opinions. People have had different opinions through the history of time. Spanking is a really controversial one, and so I want to spend this whole video on that. So, good news or bad news, depending on where you come at this, the research is pretty definitive that spanking is not a great way to discipline, unfortunately. Sometimes it can have immediate effectiveness, short-term effectiveness, but the research pretty much shows that in the long run, spanking does not create the kind of kids we want to create. They tend to have like much more aggressiveness and things like that. So what that tells me, and the reason maybe why I think that is I think often when we're spanking, we're angry, they're afraid, they may be ashamed, we're not having any conversations about really what's happening, or if we are, there's all these intense emotions, so no one is really taking anything in. And our kids learn to maybe be obedient in that moment, and yet they actually, inside they don't learn we don't build their character, right? And so they don't actually become better people. And I don't think it's a very effective discipline strategy. And research really, fortunately or unfortunately, depending on how you come to this debate, research really shows that spanking is not the best way to discipline by far. And actually, for some kids, can even be really negative as they grow and develop. So I hate to be the bearer of bad news if that is bad news, but I want you guys to know that up front. Now, having said that, I knew this before I had kids, so I know this going into parenting little children, and I swore I would never spank my kids because I know this. I wasn't spanked a lot as a kid. It's not necessarily, wouldn't have been my go-to anyways, but knowing that, I'm like, I'm never going to spank. And then I had kids, and they drove me to desperation, and I've spanked them. Just my oldest, actually. But all that to say, if you're like freaking out or feeling really guilty right now, don't, because we're moms, we get it, right? Our kids drive us insane sometimes, and we do things we said we'd never do, and they may not be our most shining moments. I don't think my daughter's scarred permanently either, so your kids probably aren't either. But I just want to acknowledge, hey, I'm going to come down that spanking is not the greatest way to discipline, and I get it. Sometimes we don't know what the heck else to do, and it feels like the best or the only option. So that's really what I want to talk about. That in my experience, and you guys please post your comments whether this fits you or not, but in my experience, those few moments when I either did spank or I was tempted to spank really were moments where probably a couple things was happening. Of course, my kid's behavior was kind of out of control. That sort of goes without saying. But I was really reacting to it for whatever reason. It was stirring a lot up in me. And I was at my wit's end. I was feeling lost and desperate. I didn't know what else to do or how to discipline. And so it was like, okay, maybe I should spank them. I am out of options, right? So this is particularly, I know I've been trying to follow my son with the hitting, but this is the spanking for me has particularly come up around my kids not napping, when they won't nap. And I've gone through it with both of the oldest now. And the first I really did spank a couple times, and the second I've just been tempted to, although this isn't my first rodeo, so I have a different stance towards this now that I'll explain. But it's those moments when I'm like, I can't give you a timeout. I've already taken things away, and then I've taken more things away, and then I've taken more things away, and maybe I've even like gotten mad at you, and you're still not obeying me. So what the hell do I do now? I don't know. I'm feeling lost. I'm feeling desperate. I'm feeling confused. I'm feeling angry. Maybe I should spank you. So to me, that's when spanking has come up. It could be different for you guys, but I imagine a lot of you can relate. And I think what that tells me is that what I've learned, at least the way I've learned to treat that, and what I would challenge you to consider is that maybe we don't always go to spanking because it seems like the best option, but maybe we go to spanking because we're desperate and we don't know what else to do. And what I would say we need to do then, and this is my challenge to you guys, is to consider treating those moments when you want to spank as communication, as messages to you. The ding, 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 there's something going on here that's big that needs to be dealt with, okay? And there's really a couple things. I really want you to think of it as communication or messages. So what could these moments be communicating to us? What messages could they send? For me, it might be sending them, well, first of all, sending the message, there's a lot going on in me that I need to take the time to attend to when I have a moment, because that's really impacting my parenting right now. And I need to deal with that powerlessness or exhaustion or whatever is getting me to that point. Take a break, talk to a friend. I need to do some of that self-care because I'm freaking out about whatever this is. That's the first message. The second message is there might be, sometimes there's really something going on with my kid. Sometimes when I'm like, their behavior seems so out of control and my discipline is not working that I want to spank them, it's telling me, oh my gosh, they're feeling that out of control, or that they're having that hard of a time of regulating their emotions. And why is that? Right? Maybe it's something big. Maybe it means there's conflict in the home that they're reacting to. Maybe it just means they're not getting enough sleep and they need, if they're hitting all the time, maybe they're tired and they need better boundaries around sleep. Maybe they, if it's the sleep stuff, they need to shift naps. Maybe my 2-year-old boy, when I got there, I started to think maybe he needs to more time to run in the morning. Maybe he's not getting enough time. So I think so we look at those messages when we want to, not by the way, right in the moment. When you're in that moment of wanting to spank, if you really resonate that it's out of desperation, you do your best to get through that moment. And then you go calm down. And then later you come back to think about this communication, these messages. What is it telling you about you that needs to be dealt with? Are there any messages about your child that your child is actually telling you, I'm feeling out of control, that's why I'm not responding to anything, I need something different or something more? And even if it's something different or something more, it doesn't mean it's spanking. Maybe we need to back way up to what's happening before the discipline problem and adjust something there. I hope that makes sense. The third thing that I've realized is the message to me when I want to spank is that there's a problem that probably needs a more comprehensive discipline strategy. So just a couple weeks ago when I wanted to spank my son around the napping, I realized okay, we have a big issue here. I need to back way up. I need to look at, is there anything I need to adjust? The time of his nap, what we do before nap, blah, 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 blah. But I also need, okay, this is a big problem. Maybe I need to start a sticker chart for him. And talk to him when we're both calm about this is what is expected of you at nap time. You need to stay in bed. You can play quietly, but you need to lay down. You need to, no yelling, right? Whatever the expectations are. And when you follow those, you're going to get a sticker. Look at these great stickers, right? Play it up. Maybe for a while with my daughter, you speak your kid's language, she would get a piece of candy if she took a good nap. Not took a good nap. Went down for a nap well. That's really the struggle with my kids. They just don't want to sleep. So that's what it was, a big message for me with him. I need a bigger discipline strategy. I need to start with a positive. I need to set up a way to reward him, to communicate the expectations clearly and reward him when he's doing well. I need to look for the times when he's doing well and praise the heck out of it. And then I need a plan for when things aren't going well, right? So then maybe we get into discipline and I have specific, okay, first you lose toy 1, 2, and 3 in bed with you. Then you lose your TV for the night. Then, maybe at some point we put the monkey hook on the door and you're just stuck in your room and whatever. But it's a message to me when I'm desperate enough that I want to do this thing that I don't even believe in to discipline my child, which I'm not saying is you, but for me, it's a message. I have stuff in me I need to deal with about this issue. My kid is really out of control and may need some help, additional help or adjustments in regulating their behavior. and I need a more effective, more comprehensive strategy for disciplining this. So it's almost like we're at this point of wanting to spank and we need to back the truck way, way up to what's happening back here and what are the adjustments we make way before the behavior and then as the behavior starts, so that hopefully we don't get to this point as much, right? And all of this stuff, then we have to be consistent, we have to be patient, because that's sometimes that, like, people say timeouts don't work, but it's because they haven't given enough of a chance. We're trying to do something really hard, you guys. We're trying to build the character of little people. Okay, that doesn't happen overnight. But I need these more comprehensive strategies to help us get there and not be crazy in the meantime. So that's my take on spanking. Not like, oh my gosh, you screwed up your kids if you do it, but it's really not the best discipline strategy. If you are going to do it, try not to do it out of anger. Try to still talk with them about like why they acted that way, what they could do differently. Make sure you only spank with an open hand on the butt, never leave a mark so you don't get Child Protective Services involved. But it would be my recommendation that you don't, and instead you treat it as a message that you need to do these things. Look at yourself, look at your kid, look at your discipline, and really try to reassess and readdress those. Get help from a friend, your partner, a therapist if you need it, and try something different. Expect them to push back a little bit, but try something different. Okay, your mom challenge, share your thoughts with me. What of this resonates? Did you, and has there been a time you spanked, you thought about spanking, whatever, that you could see a bigger message about yourself or your child or your discipline that needed to be addressed? I would love to hear that stuff. All right, much love and many blessings. Until next time on The Mom Degree.